Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Warhammer 40k, Rogue Trader, where today things are already looking a mite bit better than they were last time around. You know, relatively speaking. Thanks to our new friend Malice, we're no longer at risk of falling apart, but we do unfortunately find ourselves saddled with a new problem, which is that, Yeah, we've got the brain worms. We just cannot seem to get away from those things. I guess that's just the new meta in CRPGs. Weird trend, but, you know. At least Auric gave us a good idea of what we're in for. That said, we've got a stash over yonder, so let's get ourselves properly equipped. And then we'll set to tracking down our erstwhile allies. Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, we've actually got some proper guns here. Heavy stubber for Argenta. Great sword for Abby. Ooh, shotgun. Perfect. Plus a proper sniper rifle. Okay, yeah, we can certainly work with this. Kind of weird, though. They never even gave us a chance to use those starter pistols they gave us. Let's see if Malice has anything else for us.
Humanling, relax with us. Take a stimulant and enjoy yourself.
Sure. You know, I might just take you up on that, Mal. Just need to get this job done first, which, you know, again, would go a mite bit easier if you gave me some proper gear.
If I gave that to you, it would all be too easy for you. When you leave, I'll enjoy wondering if next time I see you, it'll be in one piece or several. Don't spoil my fun.
Right, well, fair enough, I guess. Mind if I ask some questions?
Ask away, humanling, but try not to bore me with your chatter.
I'll certainly try my best. What can you tell me about this slith? I've never actually had a chance to talk with one of your kind. Usually, any exchange we have is with bullets.
This slith? My kind were a greedy people. We always wanted more, and that's why we were rapacious and indomitable. Nothing could sate our growing appetite. We could have conquered half the universe if we needed to. The bonds that held us together fell away, replaced by more beneficial and attractive alliances. And my kind scattered. Some call it the fall of our civilization, but they did not understand the realization we had come to, that no one needs other people. All you need is yourself.
Sounds kind of bleak, but to each their own, I suppose. So why Malice? Seems a bit strange you'd choose a Terran word as your title, or is that just a coincidence?
The name is an accurate reflection of my nature, more or less. It was given to me by Giperil, Archon of the Cabal of the Sheared Tongue. He was a competent master, and he knew his servants well, which is why he didn't trust any of them, and gave me the honor of guarding him.
Yeah, and how'd that work out for you? I notice you're here now.
The Archon liked to watch me savage the assassin sent to kill him, and he named me Malice. I fended off 100 attempts on Giperil's life, and only once was I too slow. But that was enough to lose my employer. And yes, now I'm here,
Yep, that certainly tracks. Honestly, I've got to say, the more I chat with Malice, the more I kind of like him. I mean, granted, he's almost certainly going to end up trying to betray us, but still. I'll be sad when we inevitably have to cut him loose. So if no one needs anyone but themselves, then what's up with your gang, the Shriekers? You go on about being independent and self-reliant, but then surround yourself with a bunch of backstabbers? Backstabbers. In Camarog, the word sounds like a joke. The Shriekers are a gang of the doomed. They live in expectation of their inevitable death in the arena. And that death makes a lot more sense than all the other deaths on offer in the Dark City. We are gladiators. We go into the arena to rip helpless meat to shreds. Then we become the helpless meat ourselves. When the end is predetermined, and in the spires it's always predetermined, you start to see death in more simple terms. You stop being afraid of it and learn to enjoy life. We are a gang of people who enjoy life. Interesting. You know, there's almost a bleak beauty to that sort of just gracious acceptance of your own inevitable fate. Though, you know, at the same time, of course, it does smack of just rolling over and accepting the inevitable. Giving up on the idea that you can never actually better your station or avoid your untimely demise. Though, I mean, I can get, to a certain extent, the temptation to do that sort of thing, especially in a place like this. I see. Thanks for sharing. I don't think you do. Not yet, at any rate. But witness a few more deaths, and then you really will see. Well, that's certainly something to look forward to. So what about this arena? What can you tell me about that? The arena is the giver of life in Camarog. Without the psychic sustenance created by pain and suffering, the masters of the Dark City would die off. It's just how they are made. The hungry come to the arena to gorge themselves, and the witch cults that rule the arenas ply their guests with bloody spectacles and heinous torture. The chasm is controlled by the fatal thirst. Not the biggest witch cult, but an old and respected one. 3 succubi stand at its head: Tazara, Kikaros, and Sinisthoria, the most influential of them all. But Tazara disappeared not long ago, and Sinisthoria has been lying low ever since she forged an alliance between her cult and the Reaving Tempest. So the deadly Kikaros is in charge of the arena. Oh no, something happened to Tazara, you say? How strange, I wonder what it could be. Truly, it is a mystery. I'm sure she's fine. So how exactly does Camarog work? It's like a city-sized space station? Malice's voice turns wistful. Camarog is hidden on the underside of existence, and is stitched together from scraps of various dimensions and spaces. Long ago, the Aldari created this place as a port, but now it is their refuge from she who thirsts. Camarog has more bleeding spires than you can count, powered by the energy of stolen suns. An eternal war for power rages here. Ambitions and passions are the fuel in the fire of an endless conflict of open clashes and covert treachery. Sounds exhausting. The tops of the spires are the domain of the Cabal Archons, and reigning over all is Asdrubal Vect, the supreme overlord of the Cabal of the Black Heart. You will see them, the ruling elite, when you die in the arena, and they will feed on your suffering and gain new youth through it. They seem eternal, they live so long, but they will die one day,
Kamarog itself will die. It has been dying for thousands of years already, disintegrating at its foundation. Nothing in this world is eternal.
Yeah, you mentioned something about that, right? You said we're right down near the foundation, and that some sectors down here, like the Mangled sector, are literally falling apart.
Yes, this is the chasm. The place where those destined for the arena of the witch cult of the Fatal Thirst eke out their existence. It's also where the homunculus' cast-offs end up. Tivantius from the Coven of the Baleful Thorn. He has his own little nook where he conducts his experiments. The chasm is an endless source of raw material for his work. And the best results are destined for the cabal of the Reaving Tempest, the patron of the witch cult, and of Tivantius in particular.
Tivantius. That's a new name. So, Malice, just out of curiosity, I notice you haven't asked anything about me. You don't have any questions?
I couldn't care less why you're here. My guess is you were dumped. The chasm is a cesspit. Everything gets thrown in here. Rubbish, bodies, prisoners. It all simmers together until the Drukhari masters fish out whatever they need from the pot. Fighters, entertainment, living flesh.
Interesting. All right, Mel. I've got to say, this has been a shockingly pleasant chat. I've got work to do, so I guess I'll leave you be.
Good. In Kamarog, unnecessary questions can kill you quicker than a blade.
I'll keep that in mind. Take it easy, bud. Man, I've got to say, if it turned out that Mal here was a secret companion, I would not at all complain. He's an interesting dude.
We're sure to die sooner or later, but what of it? That's life in the spires.
Mel had like a Drukhari assistant when we first came in. The track-marked Drukhari. Oh, but we do have this this spot over here. Let's go check that out real quick. Oh, actually.
Rise to the top or get left in the dust.
It looks like we might not be able to go down there. Maybe that'll come into play later. Oh. A familiar sense of unreality rolls in, breaking the connection between body and mind. Cool. That's always a good sign. And unfortunately, unlike our physical maladies, that's not something we can spot treat with stims. Though given the mention of homunculi in the area, that right there seems to point towards a potential solution. Hard to say if you'd ever really want to trust a Dark Elf homunculi to start poking around in your brain. But, desperate times, question mark? Perhaps we can arrange some sort of trade or barter of services. Ooh, nice. I'll take those. I will cast them into the void, confident that my ship will somehow retrieve them. A flash of searing pain causes the contents of your skull to burst into flames. Easy there, Valen. Let's not get too hot-headed. We need to keep it cool. Also, this place is looking much nicer our second time through, relatively speaking. We've got new skill checks as... Oh, Hi. Well, that feels like it was a mite bit unnecessary, but, you know, nice to meet you nonetheless. Anyway, so yes, this appears to be how we get to the northern part of the map. The bits we glimpsed earlier, though I think we'll hold off on that for now. Since we also see that there's new stuff to explore down here. We'll poke around on the bottom half first, before venturing further into the unknown. The beggar's corpse is disfigured by bony growths. Eyes, mouths, and tentacles are constantly appearing and disappearing in the ocean of his flesh. It is difficult to mistake warp distortion of this severity for anything else. Interesting, interesting. I wonder if the Drukhari have to deal with Chaos Cultists too. Like, they've essentially established a breeding pit for it down here. But I am unaware of the intricate interplay between Drukhari and Chaos cultures.
I always keep my options open.
Ugh. 35% on ballistic. We'll hold off on that for now.
I saw it first. It's mine. Bugger off or I'll cut you. Have you heard of the Laughing Racer? The one who dies in the arena every time and then stands up alive and walks away? I have indeed. It's a tall tale, the Laughing Racer, killer of vagabonds. Nonsense.
Yeah, I'm shaking in my boots. Ha! The Laughing Racer. Now, the Urgul that's been roaming around down here, that is something to be afraid of. That sounds like a Harlequin. Possibly our mysterious friend. Also warning that we might have an Urgul down here somewhere. Not entirely sure what that is, but... oh, gosh. Yeah, and we'll hold off on that, too.
I always have a backup plan.
At least until we track down Pask. In theory, he should be around here somewhere. I just don't want to burn our one-and-done checks on anything worse than a coin toss. Oh, I'm so curious as to what that body might have on it. If I were just playing for fun, I'd save scum the heck out of that, but alas, I try to hold myself to a higher standard with these shared runs. Live with the consequences. See potentially... oh, well... you know, live or die by the decisions I make. And perhaps show people things they might not otherwise see. Whoa, hold on. Wait. Ugly beggar, didn't I... The hideous mutant does not look as cocky as the last time you met. Armed and not bleeding from 100 wounds, you must be a more formidable sight.
How about buying yourself a pair of boots?
The beggar shows off his filthy legs, and surprisingly decent boots. Your boots. Are you sure about that? Huh. Could have sworn I already killed you. Well, maybe it'll actually stick this time. The beggar refuses to die easily. He is desperately clinging to his life, choking on his own blood. Eventually, his protracted agony reaches its end. Yeah, sucks. And no boots, but I will take the rest of this stuff. I do wonder if that's a bug, him still being alive, or if that's deliberate. We do have the brain bug. We've been hallucinating since the moment we first came down here. Oh-ho, portal's now usable. As is this lift. This profane device is designed to set the elevator into motion. Only when wretched victims die inside the device. Oh, well, then I am very glad I didn't stick my arm inside that thing. Also, the device appears to be missing, but, you know, I'm certainly not an expert in Drukhari engineering, so who's to say? Anatomical opera. Classy. I would have probably called them organ grinders. All right, mangled sector. My goodness, look at this place. Whoever tried to settle in this vile place, their fortitude did not carry them far. Come on, guys, you need to be a bit more blade back.
Let us not dawdle.
Athletics check over yonder. Nice. Into the void. Oh, shoot, Abby. And look at that. My man's got all his gear, too. That is fantastic. Let's go, oh, geez. Is he gated behind this athletics check? Hold on.
Keep your wits about you.
The otherworldly shimmer of nothingness promises peace and quiet. Well, that's not what I was looking for. All right, well, you know, Abby's worth a few broken bones. Let's do this. Hippity-hop.
Failure is just a temporary setback.
Yeah, let's get that patched. We have finite resources, but better to treat it now than wait for it to get worse. And Abby, my man, what's up, bud? It is so good to see you. What you doing? You barely recognize your loyal seneschal, Abelard Wersurian, in this pitiful, hunchbacked figure. His officer's bearing, his broad shoulders, his direct and piercing gaze, all gone without a trace. What you see before you is a decrepit, quivering old man, rummaging through malodorous refuse and mumbling under his breath. It takes a second for you to make sense of his hoarse lisp. Quatharina, love. White amasec and fruits? Of course, love. The children are making mischief again. Quatharina, where are you? The old man's frail voice is laden with tenderness and longing. Abby? Oh, Quatharina. Abelard laughs faintly and immediately launches into a bout of coughing. Deep lines run across his face, and a blurry film of cataracts clouds his eyes. The drive stems are at it again. Another council session. Another appeal to the logicians. They will never be satisfied, love, until they make us and our children disappear. Perhaps we should just give in. You always say that Dargonis is not your home, love. Abelard is looking past you at someone only he can see. There is a timid smile on his trembling lips. Would you like that, love? Would you rather leave it all behind? Go somewhere far away, away from our toils? Oof. We could really use Cass about now. Steady there, Abelard. I'm here. This should help bring you back to your senses. The dose of stimulant sends such an intense spasm down his limbs that you fear his heart might rupture. But then clarity brightens his gaze. Abelard looks at you and takes a shuddering breath.
Saint's blood, Lord Captain. You're alive!
With a groan, Abelard tries to straighten his hunched back.
Thank the god, Emperor. Death has not found you yet. Then again, given the circumstances, it may be for the worst.
Abby, buddy, what happened to you? Abelard is racked by an old man's hacking cough.
That thrice-blasted Xenos simply chucked me aside like a piece of rubbish. I went to look for you, or for help, and I ended up here. This is where it found me, that thing. Memory fails me. All I can remember is bits and pieces. And needles. It pumped something out of me, and it pumped something in. I seem to be in one piece, except that creature.
Abelard tries to wipe his stained coat with a trembling hand.
How should I put this? Its needles siphoned the strength out of me. I feel older by a good decade or two.
He touches his face and exclaims in surprise.
My word, I think I am older. That could be why I started seeing things. I never thought I'd live long enough to go senile.
Interesting. Can you describe the thing that attacked you?
He shudders. A spawn of nightmares. So ghastly my mind refuses to picture a clear image of it. Nothing but meat, metal, and many, many needles. It feasted on me, feasted on my very soul. It would have devoured me whole if it hadn't gorged itself on another before me.
Well, hang tight, bud. We'll find the time to set this right. If anyone's going to outlive me, it'll be you.
Pray, Lord Captain, there's enough strength in this body yet. Your seneschal will not be so easily broken by some.
He groans and clutches his side.
I could just use a brief respite.
Sure, take your time. You've been through a lot. Though I have to ask, who's Quatharina? Abelard gives you a tense, embarrassed look.
My late wife, Lord Captain. I think in the time I wandered around here, my sanity may have suffered. A temporary lapse, I hope. It appears my mind can no longer stomach the kind of horrors this place has to offer. I saw her by my side. I saw a different time. A different place.
Yeah, well, join the club. I don't suppose you saw any of the others while you were down here. You're the first one I've come across.
I have not the faintest idea, your lordship. All I can say is, if I have managed to survive down here, the others stand a chance, too. There were no weaklings in your retinue.
Yeah, let's hope. Come on, buddy, we'd best move on.
I could not agree more, Lord Captain. I serve House von Valancius.
Abelard salutes you with a shaking hand, and a ghost of his usual stern expression returns to his wrinkled face. Oh. And there goes his gear. Yeah, I should have known that was too good to be true. I guess we just imagined things, which, given the circumstances, I suppose does make sense. Hey, bud. Thankfully, we've got a fair bit of random bits and bobs here we can kit him out with. Let's go ahead and toss what we can together real quick, then we'll push on. Oh, goodness. Looks like he got hit with some pretty nasty debuffs there, too. Hits to almost all of his primary stats, minus weapon skill. I'm trying to think of what might have attacked him, but, you know, I'm so far out of date on the Drukhari Codex. It could have been pretty much anything they introduced over the past 10 or 15 years. Though we do know there are homunculi down here. And they get up to all sorts of crazy Hellraiser bullshit, so... So if I had to guess, I'd say probably something the homunculi threw together. Perhaps we'll be able to bargain with this Tervantius to restore some or all of Abelard's vitality. We also have that level up in the queue, but I think that's a skill up and then also a full-on class feat. Let me just get a quick peek here. Oh, yeah, that's a feat for our Tier 2 archetype. That would be Vanguard. We'll hold off on that for now. I'll want to go over all our options before I set anything in stone. Looking at the revolting puddle of ichor that reeks of suffering, you can barely make out what remains of the bones of some unfortunate soul that appears to have been digested and regurgitated. Oh, you know what? Maybe this is the work of, that Urgul we heard name-dropped earlier. As indicated by the bloody trail, a body was recently dragged through here. Again, I'm not really familiar with what an Urgul is, but... Shoot. Yeah, we gotta track down Argenta, too. Or Pask.
Is there money to be made?
But yeah, just going off what we've heard since we got here, Urgul or homunculi seem like they're the most likely culprits for what happened to poor Abby. Retrieve safe. Oof. That's a rough check. We'll hold off on that until we've hopefully dealt with that debuff. Also, I guess the safe's probably sealed, so we need Pask for that anyway. Oh my. Yeah, that's void best avoided. Though it does seem to be giving some pretty strong vibes on how we can take this place down. I imagine there will be some sort of unreality engine we can shut down. Cast this place into oblivion. Oh ho! Rogue Trader! Sister Argenta greets you with a glowing gaze and confident smile. The God Emperor did not forsake his chosen one. I prayed that our paths would cross once more. Sister Argenta, thanks be to the God Emperor you are here, and you look as prepared for new trials as ever. Master Wersurian, a loyal seneschal never abandons his Lord Captain, does he? I am just as glad to see you alive. She gives Abelard an encouraging smile. Argenta gestures at everyone around her. Your arrival is timely indeed. With the Emperor's chosen on our side, we can come out of hiding and exact vengeance upon the enemies of humanity. But I shouldn't take up your time. Speak instead to the Commissar, the one who leads these valiant souls. He will tell you everything you need to know. Sure, yeah, I'll get to him in a moment. But tell me, Argenta, you seem to have weathered the storm unharmed and as sane as you ever were. What happened to you after we were captured by the Drukhari? My memory betrays me. I lost consciousness soon after they dragged us into the shadows. I came to in a filthy arena. They had set some clawed beast against me. When I slew it, they sent another. I killed them all, one after another, and the unseen spectators demanded more and more. At last, I had an opportunity. One of the beasts I fought damaged the enclosure, and I managed to escape the arena. You should have seen how quickly the scum who whooped and cheered from the stand set off after me. I forged a path with sword and bolter, and wandered for a long time in darkness. And then I wound up here, where a loyal servant of the Emperor found me, and gave me a chance to serve him again. Sword and bolter, you say? Please tell me you actually still have those. Yeah, the Commissar. I've heard a word of his exploits. A loyal servant of the Emperor, who has not lost the will to fight, even in this impenetrable gloom. He has mustered a resistance, everyone who can hold a weapon and refuses to accept the fate of a toy in the clutches of vile Xenos. The dwellers of these dungeons are myriad, and most are lacking in soul, courage, or willpower. The Commissar and his associates seek out the true champions of the Imperium among them, and prepare those people for the battle against the Xenos. Providence itself has brought me here. I assisted the Commissar in his search in hopes of finding you among the captives. I devoted myself to helping the faithful, yet frail, pluck up their strength, and guiding the able, yet desperate, toward hope. And my efforts have already borne fruit. 2 squads have gone on a scouting mission to discover safe passage out of Komarog. I take it you're talking about your friends here? Indeed. I found them, subjects of the Imperium who were taken to this den of misery and despair, scattered across this vast chasm. They were condemned to suffer for the amusement of enemies of humanity. But the beasts were wrong in thinking we would simply resign ourselves to our fate. I share my faith in the future with them, the future that we will claim with his name upon our lips. Right, well, I probably shouldn't tell you why I'm actually here then, but, I mean, to be fair, we were going to chat with the guy before making any hard decisions anyway. Well, now that I'm here, I suppose you have a choice to make. Are you with me, or are you with the Commissar? Argenta looks at the people around her and nods. I have served the Resistance for as long as I could. My duty to these people is done. It is high time I rejoined you and pursued my original mission. But first, allow me to offer a few final words of guidance to my flock. Argenta turns to her audience, and her voice fills with zealous fire. Servants of the Emperor, children of humanity, be strong in your resolve and pure in your faith, for our deliverance is at hand. Steel your hearts, for a great trial lies ahead of us all, but the reward for passing it is freedom. Well said. Let's hope that's how this actually turns out. And, of course, Argenta immediately stripped down the second she actually rejoined us. Also, some side banter. We got lucky with our commander. The Commissar's a fierce fighter and no mistake. Yeah, but what if that hunter thing comes? You know, the one that skulks in the shadows? They say he melted an actual Archon with plasma. It won't come, and if it does, we kill it in the Emperor's name. The God Emperor has shown us leniency in our darkest hour.
Praise be he who has arrayed us in the armor of his wrath.
Interesting, interesting. So yet another hint of something else lurking down here with us. A hunter with plasma weaponry. The low vibration that permeates this space is the death throes of atoms, becoming nothing. Alright, well, Argenta attaching herself to the Commissar definitely complicates things for us. Though I suppose I should have seen it coming. We'll hold off on talking to him for the moment, finish poking around here a bit. Let's go ahead and grab that real quick. Plus, of course, we have, gosh darn it, come on, man. Plus, we have Argenta's level up in the queue, of course, but again, we'll hold off on that. Oh, wow. Fencing boots, plus parry when using swords. Whenever the wearer parries with a sword, they immediately counterattack, causing the attacking enemy to become staggered. Also, plus 15% parry against staggered enemies. Well, that was pretty much made for Abby. Or Kibbles, I suppose. Riposte gloves. If the wearer is an assassin and successfully dodges or parries an enemy's attack, it automatically creates an additional opening. Tactical genius. Whenever the wearer successfully dodges or parries an incoming attack, they gain plus 10 momentum. Alright, well that obviously pairs very nicely with the fencing boots. Plus, of course, replacement melt-a-charge, very nice. And let's get this gear equipped. These are some decent finds. I mean, obviously, long-term, once we get our proper gear back, a lot of that will take precedence, but short-term... Huh, actually, you know what? Not apt to come up much, but... yeah, let's go ahead and slap these on Valen. He is technically an assassin. Then we'll get those fencing boots on Abby. Swap the wear-resistant boots over to Argenta. I'll need to re-cadoodle our consumables as well, but I'll worry about that a bit later. Take care of that off-screen. For now, let's just slap the basics in place. Oh, you know what? Might be a good excuse to use that exploder. I didn't exactly build her for AoE attacks, but, you know, it would be a shame to have this thing and to never once explode someone. That'll do for now. I'll fine-tune off-screen. I might swap the las pistol for a sword. I'll have to mull on that. And then obviously no point in burning a charge on that. We can just go around. Let's do one last sweep here. We saw some stuff on the way in. We'll chitter-chatter with the Commissar next time round. We're already pushing time, and I imagine that'll be another extensive convo. The makeshift tequila looks somewhat pitiful, but the evident diligence and passion that went into its creation speaks of the piety of its maker. Piety or zealotry? That, I think, will be the big question here. We've run into a number of folks down here, ourselves and Abby included, who definitely seem to have grown a mite bit unstable given the nature of this place, and the Emperor's most passionate already tend to teeter on that brink. Argenta very much included. So, like, on the one hand, obviously, I do approve of the idea of gathering Imperial survivors and finding some way to collectively strike back at the Drukhari and hopefully escape this place, but at the same time, all it takes is one zany zealot to turn this whole thing into an exercise in mass martyrdom. That's it. Yeah, this does feel like a good place to call it. We'll hit the pause button for now. I'll clean up our inventories a bit, figure out what we're doing with these level ups, and we will pick up here next time as we get to know our new friend here. Is he really leading us to freedom, or just screaming bloody martyr? See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
Failure is just a temporary setback.